Kathleen Kennedy has the match, and they're about to set fire to Star Wars. The Acolyte Episode 3 will be on the way next week, and from what we've been told, folks, they are truly going to turn the Force female. And with that, they will put the nail in the Star Wars coffin. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel that is changing hearts and minds, one viewer at a time, simply by telling the truth, explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. Joining us today is Lauren Connor of That Park Place. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
And lest anyone out there think that we are being hyperbolic and too much over the top, well, here is Alan Ng, who I don't think has ever been accused of such. He's at a film threat. And he says, final verdict. Now, he's one of the ones who has been able to see the first 4 episodes of The Acolyte. He says, final verdict, the 3rd episode of The Acolyte will finally kill Star Wars. For the vast majority of pre-Disney Star Wars fans, which, by the way, Lauren, I would say that the vast majority of Star Wars fans are pre-Disney Star Wars fans. In fact, I would say the vast majority, because I don't think Disney has earned any fans, because those that were earning with The Mandalorian, they got rid of them by getting rid of Gina Carano and getting rid of the story and bringing in Lizzo. We got Lizzo instead of Gina. Based on Lucasfilm comments of late, they are okay with that. Now, Lauren, I want to say that as we get into this conversation today, I am not using Alan Ng as my source on this. I want to be very, very clear on that. And the reason I want to be clear is because the people who have seen the first episodes or the entire series, depending on their positions, of The Acolyte, they have almost entirely signed non-disclosure agreements. And I want to be very clear that Alan Ng has not shared anything with me about this show beyond what he said publicly on videos, and outside of that, he has been true to the NDA that he signed. But Lauren, what I'm hearing is matching up with what Alan is saying, but I want to go a bit farther than what Alan is able to say. And according to a source that I have, Lauren, Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland are going to do something in The Acolyte that is going to essentially end what remaining fans they have. And that is that they are literally going to change the Force itself, into being literally female, gender female Force. So, Lauren, there is some lore behind this. I think they're going to, whatever the opposite of bastardize, because you can't really bastardize if you're talking about feminine, but they're going to bastardize that lore. But can you tell the folks out there, what is the backstory behind the Force and behind whatever gender connections it might have?
First, I want to ask, did your source explicitly tie to this previous storyline, or are you going off of what my suppositions were?
Are you talking about your suppositions about the background and the
right?
No, totally entirely different. The idea that, and I don't know if it does tie in. Okay. Well, let me say this, folks. What we're about to do is Lauren is about to give you a deep backstory into where Star Wars has gone on this before. Well, I don't suspect that they're going to actually use that, because every time we suppose that they have a reason for doing something wise, they prove to us that they have no idea what they're talking about, and they paid no attention to the source material. But
right.
So, Lauren, they're going to change the Force into being essentially womanized.
Yep.
All right, now take it.
So where they could be pulling an idea from is from the Fate of the Jedi novel series that came out between 2009 and 2012, I think. And this tied into a Clone Wars story arc that involved what's called the Mortis Gods. And that showed aspects of the Force that were called the Father, the Daughter, and the Son. And while the nature of the episode was left intentionally ambiguous, the idea was that the father represented balance, the daughter represented the living force, and the son represented the cosmic force, and they roughly are analogous to the light side and the dark side. The father kept balance between the two, and the idea in the storyline was that the father was dying and needed a replacement in the astral realm of Mortis. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka were pulled into this mysterious monolith, into the Mortis realm, where they had this celestial adventure. Anakin refused to take the father's place, and eventually all three of them, these immortal Mortis gods, were killed by the Mortis dagger, which was the only thing that could kill them. Essentially, all parties involved then exited the monolith. Their memories were essentially erased, and no time had passed. And how this was meant to be interpreted has been left deliberately ambiguous. But in the novel series, they tied into that storyline. Now, I have to be careful about talking about this because this is one of the few Star Wars novel series that I did not complete. At the time that it came out, my son was being born and life went to chaos for several years, and I never got around to finishing the series. But what I know about it is that it involved a character that came to be termed the Mother. And in this case, it was initially a mortal servant of the Mortis gods who was regulating the battles that took place between the son and the daughter instead of the father taking that role. But because she was mortal, she would age and eventually die. And in the initial realm in which the Mortis gods resided, there was similar to the Tree of Life and the Tree of Knowledge. They had, I think it was the Font of Power and the Pool of Knowledge, and she drank from the Font of Power in order to try and reverse her aging, and later swam in the Pool of Knowledge, and it corrupted her, and she became this ultra powerful, insane entity. But she did not become like the Mortis gods. And recognizing that she was a threat, the father, the son, and the daughter essentially imprisoned her in the Maw cluster. But when the Force becomes unbalanced, it gives her an opportunity to escape. Whenever that would happen, the Mortis gods would reconvene to re-imprison her. After they were killed, they could no longer do that. And when the Force came out of balance through the Star Wars movies and later events in the novels, it again gave her an opportunity to escape. So she was like a bit like a great old one or a Cthulhuoid entity in the Star Wars universe. If they were going to do something like this, probably not exactly the same. My guess is what they're going to do is say that she was unfairly imprisoned, a female aspect of the Force, her powers stripped, and that the Sith were actually followers of the Mother, and that they were persecuted because of that. And so, if I were,
Whoa, Lauren, I think you're getting really. I know more than Lauren knows, and Lauren, you better stop. You better not say too much more.
Yeah,
you're pretty smart there, Lauren. But I don't think that they're going to go. I don't think they're going to go to the extent of explaining to the level that you just did. But
certainly not. But
yes, yeah. I want to go to Jonas now.
Hello,
Jonas. We have watched, and welcome. We have watched the Force's female stuff. We have watched the backlash to that. We have watched Star Wars be utterly decimated. It was once the biggest franchise on Earth, and there was nothing close. And now, I don't know, it's what, 20th, 25th, something like that. It's been treated horribly under the stewardship of Kathleen Kennedy. Mm-hmm. And the source who has relayed to me some stuff, they believe that this will be so bad that there's nothing left to do except reboot Star Wars. They think that Kathleen Kennedy cannot continue, or Star Wars can't. One or the other. That's how badly they think this will impact. Now, Alan, in the Renegade Online show yesterday, pushed back on that without giving any details, because he's under NDA and he has not broken that, to my knowledge. But he pushed back and said that, it's going to drive away all of the pre-Disney Star Wars people. That's over. But he thinks that Star Wars can continue, just extremely smaller than it ever was before, and that maybe Kathleen Kennedy's fine with that. What do you make of this, Jonas? Do you think that this could be the final straw?
I think you're probably right. This series supposedly started in 2019, as far as writing and all of that, and they would have been on the high of the idea that Rise of Skywalker was actually a successful film. You don't spend $600 million and only have $1 billion in grosses worldwide, which means you maybe didn't even make money and actually have a successful film there. Obviously, Star Wars has fallen off quite a bit from the merchandising standpoint. We know that from many sources, even also including our eyeballs as we go through the stores and see all the stuff on clearance racks, and the fact that Star Wars has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk unless it's attached to Lego, which is a evergreen format.
It's essentially a zombie franchise now. Is that fair?
Yeah.
I mean, unless Disney was throwing vast sums of money at it and forcing big box retailers to use it, it wouldn't exist any longer, right?
Right,
I mean,
right. I agree. I totally agree. We're in the Star Trek, the animated series section of Star Wars right now, and there's a question about whether or not they could come back with something that could restore this at some point. But I don't think it's going to happen under the current environment and the current cloud of hatred that seems to be coming out of Lucasfilm and Disney right now. They don't seem to like their fans at all, and so why would the fans put forth the effort when it doesn't seem like the people who are making the show are putting forth the effort?
Which this is the wildest thing you've ever seen, and this can only exist in ultra woke Hollywood, where they're being subsidized by other entities. I mean, can you imagine a world where Coca-Cola comes out and says, "We hate all of our fans. We men suck. Please don't drink Coke." Can you imagine that?
They're doing marketing that is not additive to the audience. They're doing marketing that is trying to say, "No, we love you people. We hate these other people that used to buy our product." Coca-Cola knows that you don't do that. Generally,
every business that's successful knows that. I mean, this is a business that is being funded to poke the eye of everyone, and all we can do is just mock how dumb they are. That's the only proper response to this. But Lauren, let's go back to you, and then Jonas, I want you to both of you please answer this, because we were wondering before we got to the Acolyte, we were wondering why they were employing the Kenobi strategy in marketing. Right? They're already victims. It's already so hard to be a woman and to make Star Wars. We already have pictures of Leslie Headland sobbing into her hands on set. That's a bizarre strategy. It never works. It's never going to work. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you put out a picture of Steven Spielberg sobbing into his hands, like that, it's bizarre. And so that's what they're doing. I think now we know why they're doing it, because they have to know that episode 3 is going to be a dumpster fire. And so they're pre-positioning so that everyone, let's say 80% of the people who are going to be outraged, they're pre-positioning so that they have their narrative to bring to the table. And that's crazy to me that you would do this knowing that you're about to have this chaos that's going to devour your brand. And rather than say, maybe we shouldn't do that, they're facing it head on and going ahead and jumping in the victim chair. Lauren, do you think there's any chance that they're going to make this work somehow, or do you think that this is going to make people despise them all the more?
No, this can't work. And this is, I think, when they were saying that they were going to change the nature of the Force, and people were concerned that you're meddling with what George made. The Force was like a stand-in for religion, but without any type of a personality behind it. I always thought of it as something like a sleeping god, but without any kind of gender. It has a will. It influences the galaxy, but it's a reciprocal relationship. It's not something that would be like a personal god. And trying to ascribe any type of gender or consciousness to it, that's a big, big mistake, and does fundamentally misunderstand what the Force is. It does make me wonder if that's why George's comments came out the way that they did. He may know what they're planning to do and was trying to get ahead of it a little bit himself when he says, "Nobody but me understood the Force." That may be
would that retroactively destroy the originals, Lauren? If they come out and they apply some sort of feminine persona to the Force all the time?
I think it retroactively destroys the whole thing. Yes, I do think that there's some fertile ground to be plowed in trying to understand the original conflict that caused the split between the Jedi and the Sith. But this ain't it. This isn't how you do this.
And this would be the same, by the way, I think, if we came out and said the Force is a dude. The only difference is Kathleen Kennedy's already been utterly, just rolled over for the Force's female stuff. So she's going into the vitriol. She is diving into the dumpster fire.
And to be clear, as you said, if we came out and said that the Force was a man, we'd be equally as outraged. It's like this is not something that you personify in this way in this universe. I do think what this shows, though, is that one, despite how very much I hate this, I do have to respect the fact that, man, this is troll level 100. This is them absolutely leaning into trolling. And secondly, it does show just how much the criticism got under Kathleen's skin. And so what I would urge everybody to do is to mock this as much as possible, ignore it, don't engage, don't watch the show, boycott, and make fun of it at every opportunity. We're going to get more South Park stuff out of this, guaranteed.
Absolutely. Jonas, is this the culmination of the Panderstone?
Yeah, I was just thinking about this the other day. Actually, I wonder if this year we're hitting the peak of all of this. If
it can't go any farther. I mean, they've
flush all of this junk
it
out of the system. That
they've
archetyped
it, right, Jonas?
The one to do it. Yeah. No, I can't imagine it going much farther in this direction.
I think about it. Both of you think about it, Jonas. You've nailed this point. I can't think of anything more they can do. They've it's like if you hate trees, once you've bulldozed, the entire forest and pulled up all the roots, what do you got left? You're out of trees.
Or just the risk of personifying the entire Force here. First of all, why does God need a starship? Comes to mind, which is a bad moment for Star Trek. If you anyhow, it turns out he was an alien, right? That wasn't supposed to be God in that one Star Trek movie. If you personify the Force, all of a sudden you have someone like Leslie Headland putting words in the Force's mouth, and the Force has judgments about what is good and what is bad, and apparently it's not what is dark and what is light. I don't think this is something they're not, as we often say here, I don't have faith that they can thread that needle, which is maybe that's code for, oh my goodness, what are you doing? Please stop.
Can I offer one hypothesis that I have as someone who has not seen the entire series, and I have not, I don't know what happens in the final episodes. I bet, this is just my bet, folks, pay attention. Remember, this is not a scoop. This is just my bet here, but pay attention. Let's see what happens. I bet that the Jedi are going to represent the patriarchy in this.
Well, my guess is that the Jedi are fully aware of the fact that this entity is imprisoned unfairly, and they've been covering it up. They know the origin of the split between the Jedi and the Sith, and they're trying to represent the Sith as having a reasonable point of view. And so, if that's the case, then they're complicit.
And all these guys, let me be harsh for a moment. So Leslie Headland came out in an interview and said that she's Sith. Like, she's literally coming out and saying, my lightsaber's red. I'm a Sith. And all of the cast members around her like, oh, yeah, she's Sith. And I'm like, you all are talking about the woman who worked for Harvey Weinstein. You all are morally depraved, defunct, and do not deserve not a moment of praise. Anyone who would sit around, the former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein, hear her brag about being a Sith, and go, oh, that's right, oh, she's a Sith. Like, you all are idiots. Just flat out immoral idiots. That's my take. Folks, you can ignore the Acolyte. I cannot. I've got to analyze the sucker. Like a bloated whale on the beach waiting for it to explode, I've got to protect everyone from this thing and let the Pelicans know where the feast is going to be. So we will have an Acolyte after party here on this channel, Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Acolyte after party. You don't have to watch the show. I don't even recommend you watch the show. I normally don't take that sort of an active position. But when the former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein is making it, folks, I feel fine just saying no. But I'm going to watch it. Me, myself, and I, no one else in my household, I'm going to watch it. And then I'll give you my review live Tuesday at 10 p.m. And we'll do that again the next week when episode 3 lands. So like going for a root canal voluntarily, that's what I'm about to do. Lauren, tell the folks out there what you've got coming up on your channel, please.
Been continuing to read Vision of the Future. I don't remember which chapter that I'm on, but we're barreling forward and probably, I guess, maybe 10 chapters left in the book.
There you go. And Jonas, you have so much to cover on that Park Place that I don't know what you. I don't even. Jonas, is there fire in the bayou? Is there fire in the bayou?
The thing that we're trying to determine now is how many times the fire alarm went off for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, a water ride. Just to throw that in there, we're having a 15K celebration here on that Park Place. Not here as in this channel, that Park Place, I'm going to say the brother channel to WDW Pro over there at 5 p.m. Eastern time today. And we will be talking about the great expanse out there in the sky, the big black emptiness, dark emptiness, I should say, of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. There's nothing in that ride. And then they copy paste about 6 animatronics over and over again. So
say the time again for the folks out there, Jonas, because they want to celebrate with you guys.
5 p.m. Eastern time. We will be there, and we will be square.
15K. Congratulations to you and Vash, Jonas.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic job. Awesome.
Well, we've had a lot of help. So
you're growing, which is the opposite of Star Wars. So that's really something. Yep. All right, folks, you can help us continue to grow here. Click that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, it's the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. Let us know, is this the end? I don't. Maybe you have some sort of perspective that says they can keep going. I know. Maybe they'll survive on 3 or 4 viewers. Maybe that's enough. Anyway, folks. I don't want to prejudice your comments. Anywho, folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, and in spite of the Kathleen Kennedys and the Leslie Headlands of the world who only know how to destroy and never build a single new thing that anyone desires, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Hey everyone, I'm Wilton the Troll, and I got a really important PAF. I just feel it's important to take a moment to reflect on the current slate of Star Wars movie. I mean, we haven't had a woman take the lead on any Star Wars projects whatsoever in Star Wars yet. And that's partly because other women who are leading Star Wars, they don't want to let that happen, which totally isn't stereotypical of women. Am I right, ladies? But here we are, with director Charmin Abinadab Chinook or something. Anyway, she's a woman who's bringing a lot of weight to Star Wars because of her, pedigree. I mean, look at her. Her credits from Satara, Let Girls Dream, Three Bahadur, The Revenge of Baba Balam, Ladies First, A Journey of 1,000 Miles, they all have ties to Star Wars, and some of you guys are so ignorant you have had no idea that there's something thematic through all those things in Star Wars. And yes, it's time for a woman to lead Star Wars. I mean, things that has totally worked in every other sphere of life, especially politics. Come on, Hillary Clinton, you tell them that it's time for a woman to smash that patriarchy. Anyway, that's all I have to say, and I think it's important for you to know that. Thank you.